Welcome to what ideally should be a brief coda of sorts to what was originally intended to be our final stream of Fire Emblem Engage and the fellow Xenologue expansion. This is the final map, this is the final boss. We pushed through it for upwards of 6 hours the other day, and didn't manage to stay long enough to really close out the finish, but here we are. We've got the final boss with 2 life crystals and down most of the way on the current life bar. We do have everybody alive. We also have 1 time crystal that we've used so far because we accidentally let poor Vale get swiped on the previous turn. But that means we do still have 9 charges, so we've got plenty of buffer space, I think, as long as we're reasonably cautious. What we're seeing now is that we're about to have another wave of enemies respawn that we will not want to have absorbed by the boss. And we had all of these corrupted wyverns just spawn on us as well that we are going to want to take care of pretty much immediately. And so, currently one of the issues is that we have very few options for actually dealing damage to the boss. We do have my main character, of course, but the problem is that there is a certain chance of a self-heal from the boss when he does do the Fell Assault attack. And so the issue that we've been running into is that occasionally he triggers Soul, which does a 50% heal, which, you know, if he's hitting for 22, he's going to heal for 11. And so that does extend how things are going to go a little bit. And that has a trigger of about a 1/3 chance. Dexterity 34, yeah, he does pretty well. One of the other issues we've been running into as well is that even when we have an enemy hit rate on us that is relatively low, say sub 50% or so, it's still been hitting pretty much every time so far, and so we have to be extra careful with that. Also, Almquist will probably be quite busy taking down some wyverns this turn, so we have to be pretty cautious. And we have to change the range on this, check the range on this. There's no way we're hitting this guy from all the way out. The only ranged attack at that distance that we have right now is probably bolting. Unless we have somebody who's a flyer who's able to get into position over here and then keep running, or perhaps warp and rescue someone over here, but I doubt it. So, as you can see, this guy's got coverage of a couple of spaces when it comes to the respawns, so likely what will happen is that we'll have to let some units go, and that's okay because that just means we'll have to tap them to charge up some of your units once again, so we can use some of their special powers, which we've rather dumped prematurely onto the boss in an effort to do any damage at all, which has been a little bit difficult just given how powered up he is. So, without further ado, let's figure out what we're going to do this turn. Priority is going to be to block all of the remaining spots, I think. The other thing, too, is that if the Miasma Breath attack is going to inflict freeze and silence, it shouldn't affect someone who's immune to freeze. Is he immune to freeze? I actually don't remember. Oh, he's actually not immune to freeze. That's okay, we can always restore him next turn, if need be. But the thing is that silence won't affect him, like it would with a caster. So maybe we can block some spots, but the thing is we don't want to regen in place too extensively because we get into issues next turn if some enemies spawn or if some terrain is going to be destroyed. So, let's see, and the terrain destruction attack here is, yeah, it is going to be an instant kill in whichever spot is targeted by the boss. So, let's do a couple of assignments first of all. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that our emblem avatar is going to have to do this attack. Unfortunately, that's a 71% return from this position. It was 60-something in the other one. But I did want to block the spot here, and I think what we'll probably do is also maybe, yeah, we can, you know, tap this with Thoron, and then just kind of pile in some supports here, I think, and just have everybody pile up as close as possible. Engage partner. Ah, okay. So you need to defeat somebody with him to do a kind of +5 stat pump on Marin, who's currently the partner and who's currently not able to do a single thing. Even with a +5 to the attack stats, I think we're still in a bit of trouble here. We don't really have enough firepower to make a dent at all, so probably not actually going to help to defeat an enemy here, unless we have an attack to spare. But what we can do is try to pump his damage a little bit by any means that we can. However, we can use Marin to defeat someone else and then pump my avatar instead. That might actually be a lot wiser. I think that's the way we should do it, is that we were thinking previously that she's doing 0 damage against this guy, and that seems to be a problem. But if she's actually taking advantage of that engage skill to drive up the stats on my main character instead, then we can actually cut straight through this turn. So she needs to defeat somebody. And given her running distance here, I think we'll probably get her back here. Actually, no. We want her centered, because then she can reach one of the enemies that spawns next turn if we do in fact let them spawn. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then we kind of want to reach her within support range as well. So for example, we've got 11 sword here. That's going to hit for 100%. And if I'm not mistaken, that should give us a nice clean attack to actually take down the first crystal. Let's see if it's the case. We do want to block a spot. We can. We're 1 point off, which tells me that we need to move Veil into position. We actually should have saved Veil for that location then, because we really can't afford to have... And the chain attack's going to miss. The chain attack only does 1 damage, so we absolutely will not rely on that. We can probably then... Yeah, actually, what I wanted to do was use Veil to do kind of a tap attack over here. Or we'll just stand her over here. Yeah, we'll be perhaps short 1 unit to block a spot. If she blocks here, we stand beside her, then maybe we can still do it. As long as we have enough units remaining to block everything else, let's make sure that we have a way of taking care of this guy here too. That's going to do a nice clean 35, and then we just pull back as necessary. We'll pull back a couple of units that are hurt to a cluster over here, so we can do some kind of group heal with Hortensia, perhaps. And we'll see how that's actually going to go. Might be wiser to do a group heal right now, in fact, but that's okay. We'll figure out as we go along. But yeah, positionally speaking, this should be the play. You do Thoron, and then you move back. Again, we do need to block a few locations. Let's assume that we're going to take this guy down with somebody. They're pretty easy to one-shot, considering the circumstances. And we leave 2 to 3 spots open, we're actually still fine. As long as we have enough throughput to take down 1 Wyvern and those additional units on the next cycle. So supposing that we move Veil over here, Veil is not going to attack because this would just potentially open her up to a self-heal. So she can't really do much of anything here but wait. Yeah, I should have saved her to do Thoron attack up on this guy and then move, but then it was kind of urgent to get Marin to pump stats, so... The idea behind this is that she's able to give us an adjacency buff. That gives me a bit of additional damage. That gives me 28. Great, that's going to be a clean 28. That takes down the first crystal. And hopefully no complications after you take down the first life bar.
I'll take the lead.
This time, victory was mine.
Great. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to pump stats using Marin, and we get in there and slice him. We might even slice him again using Seedall, just to try to burn him down as quickly as possible. Since we have so many enemies clustered up here anyway. The issue mainly is the potential for a self-heal that we need to be aware of. I'm guessing at this point that we will want Citrus Silica. Can they do very much? They take too much damage in return, unfortunately. They really shouldn't be fighting the boss. But what they can do is probably move over here and nuke. Now the thing is, if I'm able to get Xenologue over as far as this position, maybe he's able to get somebody to get within 3 range of this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite. Like if somebody's standing here, no, where's Xenologue? Repeat somebody over here. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you'd be short by 2 spaces when it comes to range. Maybe so. Not if you drop ice on him. Can we get within range to drop ice on him? Not quite. Close, but not quite. However, you can probably drop ice on that Madeline and get her to maybe get up to a front position and start blocking. And just block as many spots as possible. I don't know if we want to let this guy immobilize. I feel like that might be a bad idea. But that is an option if we want to play with some movement down here. Also, yeah, well, we'll see. Gregory and Soren, they should be able to nuke this easily. The problem is that we don't want him to get smoked in return. And we don't want him to get silenced, which is the issue. But maybe we just need to accept that we'll take a hit on that. Alternately, we use bolting, and maybe do 2 attacks with bolting, but that will depend on the hit rate, and if we get him some support. So for example, if we go up here, go bolting. Oh, it's actually going to hit for 99%. I quite like that. I didn't know we would do that well. How is bolting hitting for 99%? That's unusual. Is it support or? Yeah, 69% from this position for some reason. 99% from this position, probably because of proximity to somebody else who is support, or maybe these tiles actually help. Okay, then that solves that problem. We actually just hit for 25, and then hit for 25 again at long range. But the problem is that we still need people to cover the remaining locations. I don't know if we can quite get there. We'll probably have to leave at least one open. But yeah, that's actually pretty clear to me that it's going to be Xenologue go bolting twice. Is it really just from that location? Or can we do it here too? 69. Okay, so it's something about this location here. Probably just a matter of proximity to other units. Maybe even a proximity to my engage plus using Marin, because what is it? Yeah, hit avoidance plus 30 to units and allies within 2 spaces. So anywhere within 2 spaces is actually good. Which means we can use a block. It means that we can also use this. It's going to hit for 100%, and then we can move him up a spot using Canter Plus. Indeed, if Madeline goes up. Yeah, we can't block every spot, I think, but we can get really close. Madeline goes up. Nell goes here. Louie and Ike get this far and then go 3 spaces, but can't quite reach this. So I think Louie and Ike will actually make it up here. Soren blocks this spot, so we basically have 1 spawn then, and we should be able to take down all 4 units. Yeah, decent movement, but wait here. Then we're going to go for the double bolting play. So yeah, that's the way to do it, actually. We want there to be some enemies on the field anyway, so Marin can attack into them and defeat them. And if Marin gets some kills, then we could be in very good shape. In fact, I wonder if these buffs would even stack. If unit initiates combat and defeats foe, like I wonder if we can actually get her to defeat multiple enemies in a turn using Xenologue, for instance, and then really pump stats. But then if we have Xenologue available for some kind of combo play anyway, the right thing to do is to, of course, refuel our avatar character instead. So let's go bolting. Very fortunate that we have it available this turn. And the Xenologue is going to go there, go bolting, and probably just wrap around a little bit so you can reach other units next turn. So yeah, we want to keep everybody reasonably close to Marin then, if I'm mistaken. And also, we'll want to heal everyone up. Maybe we won't need to do the Micaiah heal this turn after all. Since I was previously using Micaiah plus Recover to kind of heal an entire cross of 4 or 5 units, I think we will actually not need to do that. Just go like this. But yeah, pumping the hit rate on bolting is in fact a very potentially successful strategy. One of the reasons it might work as well is that we could actually get bolting to stand out of range of the Felt Dragon Assault. So at 4 spaces or greater, but then if we have 100% hit chance on the bolting, then we're suddenly in amazing shape. And it's just if you... Yeah, the Bond Forger buff is going to basically solve most of that for me. So anyway, Celestia and Lucina should probably cluster up a little bit. Who needs to refuel? I think we actually want to refuel... I feel like we don't want to just spend this casually, because the one that we really need this for is Micaiah, in case this really drags out and we need a couple of emergency heals. Yeah, so let's say I leave this pool available for now, because I don't think Lucina's Bonded Shield is really going to be the priority. I may be wrong, but we'll actually leave it as it is. And we'll cover 2 spots. And we'll leave 1 available for Marin to attack into an enemy next turn, and hopefully be able to defeat it. So... Citrin has a couple of recover staves. She's not going to be able to reach Louis this turn. She's just a little bit far away. We should have kept that in mind, in fact, but if somebody has a physics staff, that would be ideal. No, otherwise we'll just leave Louis' heal for next turn, and we'll just recover who else we can. We want Hortensia, in fact, to do a big recover to also heal herself. It mostly heals herself. It doesn't quite get there. But maybe we should save the recover staff on her for the time being. And yeah, Celestia, I think, doesn't really do much this turn. She's got a hit buff on her as well. And yeah, there are some other pods that are available that you could kind of dash out for as well, as she's not going to be useful otherwise. Maybe that's not a bad idea. That, you know, it would basically put her out of play for a couple turns, though, because it would be a couple turns before she's able to come back. I think I'd rather have her as an available body here in case we have a big respawn cycle. So, in that case, let's just cluster everybody in a bit so we can have maximum flexibility to deal with whoever comes up on the left side. We will wait. And then Hortensia will heal. And then Citrin will probably heal Ivy, I think. She's currently engaged with Celica, and I guess we're not making very good use of that. Like if you come over here, then she can do something like Echo Attack, but no, she does no damage to this. We can use her as a finisher if we need to do 10 damage, but otherwise, definitely not. I guess we used damage off of Work Ragnarok, that was the main reason we used her. But now we're just going to... can anything here deal damage? I don't think so. I mean, I guess Trin with the S support might be interesting. But that would be if she's going down here. She does quite a bit down here, in fact. She does 17 with the Thoron. But again, she'd have to do that as a finisher, not as an initiator. And you definitely wouldn't want to do that with Echo, because she would take so much in return. So, but yeah, keeping her down here clustered with our emblem might be the best idea. So actually, we might just heal Micaiah. Like if Micaiah goes heal, whoops, stab and recover. And just kind of park her here. And Citron Celica will just kind of keep her in position. It's got a pretty big recover stab. We might even want to trade recover staves. I mean, that's a rather specific thing to do. It probably won't make too much of a difference right now. Then Ivy and Louis will still need heals at some point, but leave that in place. And yeah, we have a couple of attackers who aren't really doing much.
Awaiting orders.
But that's as far as you can go, I think. So yeah, we'll block 2 spots, and we'll just kind of stall. Dragon Vein, as usual, we can drop heals. Actually, dropping heals in that direction will be good. It'll put a bit on Seedall. And then we reposition these 2. Leave Celestia here in case she needs to swing back. And of course, Alchrist. We want him with the big support cluster down here, I would think. Although, when there are respawns up to... Yeah, actually, no. We want him to approach whoever's potentially respawning. So let's take him up top. Okay, that's done. Let's see what the pattern is. We'll go 1 spawn, and then probably threatening to blow up the terrain. Okay, it'll be a swipe down here, so we just need to get everybody out of the way. And we should be fine. So yeah, everybody will need to stand out of the way after we defeat this guy. Albertia with a spear. Again, we want Marin to get the kill, if at all possible. So we want to do a little bit of chip damage against him without killing. And we want to leave Gregory. And yeah, Marin will have to come up here because we need people to stand within range of her. Because then Gregory can do a bolting attack, which will not do much damage, but once we pump his stats, maybe it'll do 7 damage. And at not nearly enough speed, but probably what we'll do is we'll go Madeline Hector. And that doesn't hit very well. I mean, he's got a spear, so ideally would actually maybe drop Thoron on him with somebody who's not a very essential attacker, but you know, most people with Thoron would just outright kill him, so gotta be careful here. I mean, it's okay if we take a little bit of damage. It's not a big deal. Or we could attempt this with Madeline, since she's not doing much for me otherwise. Ideally, we would have hit this guy with 3 range or somebody. Like, you know, longbow might do it, but I think longbow might just kill with the crit, and we don't really want to kill him. We just want to poke him a little bit. Why don't we try to break with Madeline? And we don't really have another axe user, but we'll go with it. And if it whiffs and she takes a bit of damage, it's not a big deal. And it misses. Okay. Plan B is probably Ulcris, but it's a bit of a shame given how high-powered he is that we probably wanted to save him for the boss. But because the longbow would be open to a counter anyway, I think we should just go like this, and hopefully he does not kill. We do not want him to get a crit. That's fine, that's perfect. And in fact, we can bring him back this way, where he will not be swiped. This is the point at which Marin is able to go in. Score a quick kill. 11 sword or dagger, I don't think it particularly matters.
I am guided by the emblems.
Okay, good. Now, the next play is going to be to get bolting in range, which only hits still for 66%. Okay, so it's actually not great, because it's only a plus 30, so this wasn't as clever as I thought. But she should significantly pump. What's going on over here? Oh yeah, we need to get out of the way as well. We need to get everybody sort of out of this cluster. So let's pull back. Might need to pull back some other attackers like Veil in advance. Veil and Violet get her too. Do a little bit. No, I mean, we do want to charge up her power, but she just charges up naturally, so I think we just park her here and take advantage of adjacency. If only there were a good spot for avoidance. Yeah, avoidance in a thicket hitting at 2 range with a bow. For example, using Alchrist is maybe a good idea, but we'll park Veil over here for the support. We'll then attack. And if we take 15 in return, that's still going to be a net gain in damage, so I think we'll be okay. I believe this should be fine. Is there anything else we can do to improve this attack? Maybe not. Yeah, he will hit back, but he will not heal, which is the important thing. Does Sandstorm only trigger on the attack? Yeah, that's the thing, is that 150% of defense instead of strength. Well, defense is at 37 right now, so you got 37 plus, say, 17 rounded out, it's going to be 54. That's like about double damage, actually, if it's calculated with 28. And so we basically can never let him land an attack, otherwise we get swatted with Sandstorm. And that's whenever making a physical attack, it doesn't need to be the one initiating. So we always have to kind of assume how much additional damage. Plus 28 damage, basically. Like, we need to have a 28-point buffer on anything that he's dishing out. Because that's the only way to be sure of what's going on. Now, we can try the bolting attack just to chip things down anyway. There's no particular harm in doing it. Worst case scenario, you do 3 damage, and that's it. And this is last turn with bolting anyway. He doesn't really get to try it past this point. Seedall, I think the sensible thing we'll do is reload. our emblem.
It was foretold.
And then maybe pull back into a more neutral location. Nell has to get way out of the way. She's not really in a good position at all. But she'll probably come out and just drop another healing patch somewhere. In fact, yeah, right here is probably good. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the way that the sigil is its own terrain, I don't think you can drop anything like smoke on top of it, which is unfortunate. But we'll go Dragon Vein over here. We'll go... yeah, heal up on this side. And she's out of the swipe range, which is good. Seedall then goes here. Dance. And it'll pull back within maybe one spot just to get some additional buffs on. Like, when he's standing... or we could stand and do a kind of partial heal here. Restores 5 HP. Isn't there something in the next turn? Allies within 2 spaces. Okay, so... actually, here is probably good. Won't get to heal, but, you know... that's okay. That means we'll get a second shot at this. And if we take some return damage... 15 and 28 is actually a little over 40. We should heal up just in case he gets swiped. Because... yeah, because like Fell Assault, how much damage is it actually? 43 above 28. So the weapon itself does 15. And so if defense is 37 and you take that 150%, it's about a 54... 15, yeah. We should assume about 70 damage, which means that we need to heal up. And there would be a bit of reduction on top of that, of course, but let's not play it too risky. We'll probably just...
Where to?
go Hortensia once again. She's maybe a little short on the recovery. Go Ivy as well, just to get some actions in. I don't know if using a staff actually charges up at all. I played this game so much and I don't notice basic stuff. Because we can basically heal up and then pull back one. And we'll have some additional heals available if I do get hit hard. So for example, yeah, just in case there are some additional spawns upstairs later, we'll pull her back this way. We'll even have some adjacency heals on top of that. And this way, we can attack in. This is still going to be by far the best weapon because of the plus 15 bonus that is specifically for this map. We'll see how much we take in turn. Miss. Excellent. So we might even get this one in a few turns, depending on how bad the follow-up is going to be. Yeah, we're kind of wasting Celica's uptime here. In fact, if you're able to do this, 17 damage, if only we were able to chip him down slightly without getting killed. This would be what the bolting attack should have been for, in fact. Or for that matter, Louis and Ike, if we could try this, actually. He takes almost no damage in return. That if he gets this hit with the Great Lance, then we're in a fantastic position to follow up. It's 37%. He's not really going to do it. But let's say he does 6. That's not a great percentage either, but we might as well risk it. I don't think there's a big problem with that. Because we just need to get him down to 17, and then... yeah, if we get him down to 17, we're in reasonably good shape. The other thing, too, is that we can pump his hit rate. If you use Oh no, we already used Seed All. We can't bring Marin over, but in fact, we wanted to burn a rescue staff. We could rescue Marin over and then use it in conjunction with Louis. But I feel like we would want to be really cautious about using the rescue staves because we're already pretty short on those. We've had one on Gregory. It's got 5 charges. Maybe it's doable, but the one on Hortensia, I think, only has 3. Actually, this might be interesting, that if you use Gregory to rescue Marin over here, then you'll get a high hit percentage on Louis, and he'll be able to hit. That's an interesting idea. And to do that, I think we'd need to send Gregory over here. But this is within 2 spaces, right? 2 spaces. Yeah, so he gets over here, he rescues. Louis comes here, hits. I like this. I like this a lot. It's absolutely reckless. Well, it's not reckless, but it's sort of on the assumption that we'll get through this fight quickly enough that we don't need to keep that many rescue charges. And it means we're not using him for the 3 damage and bolting, but we don't care. We're going to put him directly on top here. And look at that, 67% is still not great. And then you get a little further up. Has to be this attack, though. The other ones won't hit for hard enough. What have you engaged? Do you get a higher percentage attack of somebody? 13 damage with Irvin. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, it's very good. In fact, we might even get to kill next turn if we do it this way. The problem is that Marin will not be able to score a kill next turn. Unless she gets a bonus off of maybe depleting this life bar. But the problem is she does no damage, so basically we can't rely on the Engage Plus buff next turn. And so we might be in for a bit of a longer haul. Still, I think this looks really good, so let's do it.
It's tea time.
And it's going to crit. Okay. Well, since it's going to do that, I think we'll wrap him over here, and then Hortensia can drop a heal. Unless she's dropping a heal on Ivy. No, let's sit here. In that case. Unfortunately, she still dies to everything. So the main thing that she was useful for actually was in the event that we needed to kind of finish the killing move, but she's not doing that with his Parker here. I don't know if there's anything she can do. Probably just do some kind of recovery. In fact, if we remembered that, we would have moved him over here so she could get up there and heal him. But since we didn't do it, we will move Hortensia up here. And continue our healing job. So Celica will probably just not move this turn, not attack anyway. Just move her back out here. And Celestia, same idea. I'm still hedging on this. I don't know if we want to use Lucina yet, but because I don't think Lucina's attack really did very much, even with everybody clustered up. And we've still got, what, 2 turns left on Engage Plus, but Marin will not get about next turn, so we'll see what happens. Everybody's in a safe position, right? I think so. We got a big striking attack coming. Swipe. We're okay. Yeah, 2 spawns. They're way out of position, and the fact they're so far off means that we'll need to Probably leave this one alive and pull back from this one. However, it's fantastic that we get one available because it means that Marin can buff up once again. And if we need to run her out after this turn, that's perfectly fine. We might even just finish the map this turn if we play particularly well. I think we can, in fact.
Yeah. Did it, Divine One.
Yeah, I think we can actually win this turn. But we'll see. Don't want to assume anything yet. Indeed, do we have Veil powered up? Where is she? No, she's not quite there yet. Too bad. Yeah, we'll do our first attack over here. Do 28. The thing that we're not accounting for is whether Soul will do some kind of counter heal. Because that's one thing that we don't have accounted for. Also, if Louis hits and it gets out of the way, then we can take advantage of the avoidance gain here. We need to be careful with this position, but like hit with Louis and kind of wrap around. We come over here and hit, and then that might be quite good. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, Irvan seems to be the best balance between hit rate and damage. I'm going to kind of pull him back. And let's see. We were currently enjoying the buff with Veil. That only lowers the hit rate of the enemy down to 51%, so it's not actually that good. Let's keep him here. It's a 5% difference. I'd rather take the 2 damage. And yeah, that's a big chomp. Look at that, healing up to 46. Doing 15 damage, though. Yeah, healing a couple of points. Again, if we get Sandstorm, that could kill. So we don't want to risk that. We do want to heal him up before doing anything further. Again, if there is Sandstorm, like I was saying, I think it's roughly equivalent to a plus 26 or so, actually. Maybe about 69. Minus 25. Yeah, you could heal him 5 points and maybe that would be okay. But we want to be extra careful. Nice thing, too. Oh yeah, we were going to say that Alcris stands over here, weren't we? Does Gregory have Physic or something? Fortify, Rescue. I want to move him out of the way so Alcris can camp out there and take a nice clean shot. Probably with a killer bow, in fact. But we want to get him as much avoidance as possible. So for example, if we were here and we got a longbow, he doesn't hit at all in return, which is ideal. So indeed, we got over here. Doesn't work. Recover, Fortify, Rescue. You know what? We'll go Recover. But then he'd be kind of stuffed in this location, so let's go with Seedall first. Dance. Could heal for 5 if we park here, but I think it's better if we pull back. Just a moment. And do a proper heal. And then we can use Celica and Alcris to finish off. In fact, if we know that it's going to be something like 0% on Alcris right now, we'll just do it. Yeah, it's 0%, we'll do Killer Bow. Because then we kind of guarantee that there's no self-heal coming out of it. Great, that's the ideal location for him. We should have parked him there in the first place. And then even with self-heal at this point, I think we might be able to close it out. Yeah, there's no crit on this, but even if it's 8 and then 7 heal, Celica would actually be able to... Citrin and Celica, rather, would be able to get the final blow. I think it will work. Luckily, no Sandstorm trigger, but no self-heal either. So I think we will actually get the kill, and we're just done. And this will be one of our shortest streams of all time as soon as I fix the sound. Give me one moment so we can listen to this amazing music. Because we definitely don't want any issues with that heading into the grand finale. And I believe this will be it for Fel Xenologue after we close out this turn. Let me just continue to confirm that we can patch up the audio here. Okay, hopefully that's functioning. And this will be one of my shortest streams on record, but again, this was just meant to be a coda to what we could not finish the previous day, and I probably played this turn a lot better than I would have anyway at the end of that 6 to 7 hour marathon. It would have been nice to get this kill here as well, but I don't know if we can do it. Only if we want to do something really fancy. Maybe we can run Madeline up there, but I don't think she can necessarily do enough damage. Actually, maybe she can. You know what? Let's say we just toy with the enemy a little bit, even though there's no experience gained from this. This is purely a style play, if we can do it. Just to really properly dot the T's on everything we're doing here. Yeah, if she hits, that'd be great. No real hit benefit from the Hector here, though. We're just trying to really properly clean up. And then we should be able to get the final kill at this point and then just exit. So, pretty good, actually. I think we just took, what, maybe 2 turns? 3 turns? 3 turns. We did kind of 1 crystal a turn, right? Yeah. 1 with the first wave of spawns, 1 to dodge the swipe, 1 with the second wave of spawns. We basically took 3 turns to get past the previous stumbling block. So this wasn't nearly as long as I feared. I thought that we would not have nearly enough time to finish it the other day, given that we seemed to have many boss cycles to go, and I didn't know how to do damage. But pretty much as soon as we noticed that we could take advantage of the attuned property on Engage Plus, then everything explained itself. Because previously I was thinking, you know, it's dreadful that we can't get Baron to do any damage whatsoever. If we'd noticed this earlier, we probably could have even finished it a turn earlier and done this very efficiently. But that's okay, no complaints. Let's just whack him and get out of here. 14 damage guaranteed, 17 damage guaranteed. And yeah, I mean, if she ever missed anything, she'd get nuked anyway, so let's just kill him and get out of here. I guess Ragnarok may be a more stylish animation, I don't know. Let's do it. And let's watch it at full speed.
Care to join me?
I don't even get to crit. Look at that. Right in the face. Oh yeah, I guess because we were just resuming from suspended, we weren't on the network. Not that we used it for
I am
anything.
defeated? This cannot be! Father! Father!
The bracelets. Where did they go?
They disperse when their duty is done.
Then I guess this is goodbye.
Why? Why? Even with the power of the bracelets, why am I no match for you?
Perhaps you see it now. The path Sombron laid out for you was never the right one.
If I cannot carry out Father's wishes, then my existence serves no purpose. All my life I have sought to be valued, only to discover that I am truly worthless. I will never be like you.
You are not worthless. You are my irreplaceable twin brother. We are two halves of a whole.
Interestingly enough, even though she's been told that he is not her twin and was basically the cuckoo in the nest, that she will take him as her twin anyway, out of a sense of filial duty.
Ridiculous. I already told you I am not Nil.
I know.
Not Nil? What does that mean?
I don't understand. What happened to the real Nil?
What do you think happened?
He died in battle 1,000 years ago, shortly after Nell gave him her dragon stone. He wanted nothing more than to make his sister proud.
And who are you?
A fell dragon whose twin perished when I was too young to remember it. I was a lone child, with no abilities to distinguish me, surrounded by pairs of twins, until I met Nil. My mirror image. The resemblance between us was uncanny, and we discovered we had much else in common.
Just happened to find the other weakling, the other runt of the litter.
We were inseparable for a time, and I was all too happy to have something like a real brother. He was my other half. That was how I felt, at least. But for him, there could be no replacement for Nell. When I found him, on the battlefield, breathing his last, his only thoughts were of her. He gave me her dragon stone, and said that he wished Nell would never have to grieve. For that reason, he asked me to take his place.
So you became Nil.
I made it appear as if I had been the one to die that day. In a way, I was. There would be no one to mourn my passing. Father would not even notice.
I'm having trouble believing all of this.
Believe it, I am an imposter. You should not hesitate to kill me. I brought this world to the brink of ruin. If you allow me to live, I will do it again.
I mean, we'll almost certainly recruit him against our better judgment, and by against our better judgment, I don't know if that means that it's because he's evil, or really just more to the point that his stats are awful.
Let that be your reason, if nothing else.
Except,
What
of
say you
course,
now?
in boss mode.
I knew you were not Nil from the start.
What?
I have known about his death for a long time. I saw through your ruse from the beginning. I simply chose not to confront you about it. You took his place for his sake, and for mine. That was an act of kindness.
We'll just play along with this for about 1,000 years.
We may not have been born as twins, but I have always thought of you as my other half.
But that is very gracious of her.
Then, you are a fool!
Say what you will. I speak the truth. You will recall how we visited the burial site at Letho's castle to say our farewells. You may not have seen that I left a pressed flower there. It was Nil's. I was not saying goodbye only to the divine dragon that day.
You were saying it to Nil, too.
I carried that flower for a long time. I suppose some part of me was unable to move on. Despite that, you became very dear to me. Your companionship saved me from loneliness and despair. I was happy to be a sister to you. I will always cherish our time together, even if you do not feel the same. Without you, I would never have been able to continue fighting all this time. I trusted you above all others. Believed in you with all my heart. The only proof that we are not true twins is that I failed to sense your actual intentions.
Perhaps. I confess, I have longed to hear you say such things. They make fine parting words. Are you ready?
I guess as with all the Fire Emblem engaged so far, the game has been very ambiguous about whether the player ever actually gets to kill off any of the enemies. They only seem to die in cutscenes, if they do. And we'll see what happens to them.
Yes.
They're ready for something.
Thank you. For everything. Goodbye, Nell.
Goodbye.
Oh,
Stop. What are you doing?
Nell?
There is another way to end your pain. Once I am gone, you will be free. For my part, I would rather die than lose anyone else.
No!
If only I had realized sooner. I could have prevented this. Seeing Nil and my divine dragon again may be too much to hope for. But even so, I will rest well knowing your pain is at an end.
Why would you do this? I deserved this fate, not you. You should have killed me.
I could not bear to lose a second brother. For that is what you are to me, despite it all. Before I go, will you tell me your name?
so there is a particular reason why I think I already know the answer to this. And I will explain that at the end of the map. Anyway, there goes the crystal.
Lady Nell! No! Please, no!
She's gone.
And she's going to join our party in the alternate universe. Regardless, you know it's going to happen.
No last words of reproach. No regret for her own passing. All she wanted was to know my name. Rafal, sister.
Yeah, so there's a reason I know it's Rafal. And it's because the game inadvertently gives it away if you go to a particular part of the interface well in advance of reaching this chapter.
My name is Rafal.
Rafal.
How did I forget myself? Nil asked me to look after his sister. That was his dying wish. But it was not merely his wish. It was also mine. All I wanted, all I really wanted, was to be her other half. When did I forget those feelings? You said this would be the end of my pain, Nell. But it is not. How could it ever be?
I sense something. The Dragonstone pieces. They have a strange energy about them.
That is Sombron's magic. Could it be that he cast a spell on that Dragonstone? To sow the seeds of hatred in the heart of Lord Nil, Rafal.
Let's back up a bit. I'm just making sure I'm keeping track of everything that's going on.
Dragonstones are
Now,
destroyed
don't tell
by
me
the death of their owner. Lady Nell died to break the spell.
that there is any more to this, but we'll see. That's why we made ample time today. But, you know, I think Sombron is already kind of conclusively dead in this timeline, so... finality is finality.
Sombron made it so that you two would fight each other instead of conspiring against him.
Nonsense. You mean to say that it was just some spell? Ridiculous! Regardless of Sombron's influence, I am responsible for my own actions. I chose to do what I did. It was what I wanted. I will not allow anyone else to shoulder my blame. I sought power and I attained it. I only wish that I could have kept the promise I made to Nil. Divine One.
What is it?
I have heard that dragons of great power can impart their life force unto others. Do you suppose that is true?
So who is offering what to whom? I guess we'll just absorb his power as well.
Yes. My mother did that for me. But it took 1,000 years.
As we tend to
before I
absorb
woke up.
everything in the end.
Then I will do the same.
Oh,
I
okay.
will revive
That works
now.
too.
Even if it takes me just as long, I will dwell in this empty world alone, in the hope that she will one day rise. Perhaps that will be a fitting punishment for what I have done. And perhaps, if and when you wake, we may truly become two halves of a whole.
You will. No. You already are.
Is that so?
Rafal, after Nal wakes up, why don't you come live with me in my Helios?
Kind of wonder if Rafal will also have absolutely terrible stats to start.
What?
I have a feeling you'd be able to travel there from here in the Somniel.
I think the relationship of this universe in Xenologue 2 to Somniel has been very ambiguous all this time, though. Given that we literally just fall down the well.
It's hard to explain, but I can sense my world right now. It feels closer.
Yes. It would seem that a path to other worlds lies open. Perhaps it is due to the bracelets. I did wish to grant my father's desire, if the conquest of other worlds was part of his plan. But I believe it is as you said.
Then I'll grant you both my protection so you can travel there. The Somniel can't be entered without my blessing as a divine dragon.
Sure,
So
we'll
come
just
find
let this
me.
fellow in after having
That invitation is open.
fought him for 22
however long
turns.
it takes for you to accept it.
You would make an ally of the one who so recently tried to kill you?
We've done it before, over and over, in fact.
If you are asking me here and now,
A
then
pretty
my
significant
answer
chunk
is
of the party.
certainly no. That said, 1,000 years is a long time. I will say this. If by some miracle, Nell awakens and finds it in her heart to forgive me, then, and only then, will I journey to you.
And due to some time distortion shenanigans, I'm sure we'll have them available in our party straight away.
I understand.
Now, there is nothing more to say.
As you wish. I hope to see you again, though.
Lord Rafal?
But we'll see how this goes.
Yes?
The companions are probably going to tell him, despite their history together, that they'll stay.
Despite all that's happened, I am grateful for the time we shared. I hope that we'll meet as allies again.
Your kindness is wasted on me.
Anyway, Xenologue is finished. And we actually get a red marker on our file now, a second completion marker.
Here we are, back at Lethos Castle.
It feels as if we've been gone for ages.
So much has happened since I first met Nell and Nil here.
Anyway,
The
back home
kings
again.
and queens, the emblems. They're all gone.
Yes, and Mavier too.
It's still relatively unexplained to me why Mavier is just the same guy. But I guess because in our universe, the four hounds rather than the winds all slightly but recognizably changed their names. Just to sound
What should we do now?
marginally more sinister. What should you do now? You know exactly what you're going to do.
Beats me. Every nation's lost its rulers. And probably their whole populations by now. I guess we could try to rebuild. Or each grab an empty throne and call ourselves rulers.
Rulers with no subjects. I fear we have little to do but bide our time until the end.
What if you came with me?
Divine One?
This world is beyond saving. You said it yourselves. There's no one left. I'm just a visitor. I have to go back before long. But if I leave you behind, I can't even be sure how long you'll survive. It would mean throwing yourselves into battle again. But still, I hope you'll consider it.
Sounds pretty good to me. Better than twiddling our thumbs to the grave, at least. I say we go. A new world might mean scary new enemies and dangers. But still.
There's our familiar Fire Emblem fanfare again. We do hear it in minor here in the Xenologue, I think, during the boss music, in the sequence that we witnessed in the last few turns today.
It's an appealing proposal.
Woven
but
into the
I'm
theme
not
of Fire Emblem
sure.
Engage as well, in its own variant.
I wonder what Mavier would say. Would he forgive us?
What do you mean?
We are his family, and if we go, he'll be left here all alone. It doesn't seem fair.
Oh, just come and hang out with the alternate one.
Why should we be the lucky ones? Why do we deserve
It'll
this?
be interesting to see, in fact, if these unlockable characters do have their own range of supports. They're the only ones who would be unlockable party members, I think, given that we've only unlocked the emblems in the other DLC maps so far.
Deserve
Kind of
what?
interested to see what their
To be
integration is,
happy?
whether they do have their own support conversations with all of the emblems, like everybody else does.
Madeline, what's the last thing that the big guy,
Because there might actually be a
that Mavier, said to you?
pretty big chunk of that social dialogue content that comes with these characters that I probably won't even have any opportunity to see since we are finished all of the main game's content already.
He said he wished me the greatest happiness.
There you have it. He'd probably tell you to look forward, not back.
You don't get to speak for him. You didn't know him like I did.
I knew him pretty darn well. We spent a ton of time together. Anyway, you gotta admit, he wouldn't want you sulking forever.
Mavier would tell me to go. To try and be happy without him.
Go ahead and cry, Madeline.
I'm sorry. You were born into this world, and I'm asking you to put it behind you.
Yeah, very conveniently, they'll just click into place with their friend in the other universe.
But if it makes any difference, I spoke to Rafal. He's planning to come as well. One day. You could wait for him with me.
Divine One, I share Madeline's struggle. It feels wrong to be the only ones going, to leave our Lord and Lady behind.
I understand.
But instead of languishing here, we could go to a world where our skills can be of use. And after everything that's happened, I find it difficult to turn down your request. We have been through so much together.
Yes, we have.
I'm inclined to go. Do the two of you feel the same?
Yep.
And you can fight your evil selves. Actually not, because we've nuked them off the face of the map already.
I agree.
Then from now
I guess
on,
if you unlocked
the remaining
them
winds will swear
early
our loyalty to you as your attendants.
in the experience, I wonder if the winds actually have dialogue with the hounds. If they went the extra mile to make that happen. But that's something to look up on YouTube afterwards, perhaps.
We will go with you, Divine One.
I'm glad. I look forward to spending more time with all of you.
The feeling is mutual. All right. Remember, you two. We have to work hard as the Four Winds, even in another world.
What, we're not calling ourselves the Three Winds now?
Of course
You
not.
knew the answer before you even asked.
We four are a family, and will always be together. Nothing can change that.
All right, everyone. Let's go. Nell, Rafal, I'll see you again someday.
Now, do we get our own set of credits for Xenologue?
Thank you, my fellow divine dragon. I
We'll
pray
see.
your future is filled with hope and love. And please, take good care of them for me.
I still wonder, to this point, if there is a gender swap depending on your avatar, or if it is always the feminine Alir in the Xenologue. Because everybody seems to recognize you anyway as the counterpart to their own divine dragon. Okay, we get a song. And did we get credits? Oh, we actually do get a bunch of shots. I'm going to take some screenshots. Why not? We have a clear opportunity to see each of the DLC emblems and their own little images here. I'm sure there's maybe a gallery at the end that we can see too if we just head to the bedroom piano or something and re-roll the credits. Look at this. It's actually a Fire Emblem battle scene rendered in Fire Emblem artwork, this time with Hector. We don't get battle stats, but that's because it doesn't save anything. And yeah, basically a little ending cutscene. If you'll pardon my snapshot taking. I know I could just capture everything separately, but I always love having this stuff on my Switch. Clogging up the screenshot folder. There with Veronica, and there with the hounds. We won't keep everything, but, you know, might as well. Take some snaps while we have some artwork to look at. One thing that's quite nice about this game, Fire Emblem Engage in general, is that everything that's concept artwork or illustration is just completely congruent with the designs that you actually see in the final 3D renders in-game. Because they really kind of committed to doing that with these characters, like they have in some of the recent Xenoblade games as well, in fact, like Monolith did with those. Here we have Chrom. And yeah, all of the DLC emblems, apart from the Three Houses Lords, really did get their own moment in the sun here. So yeah, we don't get credits yet, it seems, but we do get all these illustration cards at the end as a bit of a survey of what happened here. And, you know, here's the part of the story where they all wind up in the well on our side. And then, yeah, it just kind of tells the epilogue story from here, perhaps. 1,000 years of attempts to revive everybody. Let's get a second shot of this just to be sure that we've got something nice. And yeah, that's the DLC squad. We actually don't have anything nearly that nice looking for the characters in the main game, I think. Apart from the main cover artwork. Anyways, Celestia, Gregory, and Madeline joined our group. Yes, they did. I guess you don't get Nil and...
The weather's so beautiful today.
Nil just yet, or rather Nell and Rafal just yet. Or maybe you do right away in this scene.
That bright blue sky feels like a good omen.
I could not agree more.
And yeah, there he is.
Huh?
We were barely back for just a couple minutes. And
Nell! Rafal! I didn't expect to see you so soon.
that's
It
just how
has been
time
some
travel
time,
works.
Divine One.
For me, it has been 1,000 years. But Nell has returned, and we have come as promised. My sister and I are at your disposal.
Welcome to you both. It really is a lovely morning.
And we get them right away. Now, what about those Cannoneer and Enchanter classes? We've been seeing them ever since Veronica's map, actually, in one of the earlier waves. And then certainly in a very prominent role throughout the Fel Xenologue maps, as we had to deal with them head-on. And yeah, I guess this is what it is, that maybe the Mystic Satchel and the Mage Cannon are kind of like special second seals. We've got plenty of bonuses here to work with as well in the clear rewards. Standard Blast, Magic Blast, Venom Blast. Yeah, those are all, as far as I can tell, the alternate weapons for the Cannon class. And we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, we've got the clear rewards. We can now change the Enchanter and Mage Cannoneer classes. Then, here it is, Enchanter. Consumes items and weapons to enhance themselves and their allies. Right, that's what the Mystic Satchel is. I mean, I still only have the vaguest idea of how the Enchanter works. We just basically saw the effects of having them put Spell Reflect and everything on the enemies to our great annoyance. Consume items and weapons. I actually was wondering about that, but now we know. So maybe we should have kept all those slim swords around anyway. Item Surge consumes an item to grant special effects on allies and based on the item consumed. Oh, right, because you can consume the items and the weapons. Items, hence all the vulneraries that we're not using. So yeah, it would basically be like an Apothecary class, which I think there is some precedent for in Fire Emblem. There was an Apothecary, I believe it was maybe Mozu, I want to say, back in Fates, so, unless I'm thinking of a different character. Or was it Midori? I don't actually remember their names. This was 7 years ago. But the Apothecary class in Triangle Strategy, and actually the item using classes in Triangle Strategy, were just one of the greatest things about that game. Incredibly flexible. So, when you have late game inventory glut, I guess that's what this class is for, when you just want to dump resources onto the field. Strengthen all weapons of the same name. Interesting. But then you'd only want to use it on the cheap stuff, right? Very interesting. Mage Cannon. I don't know who we'd built as that. I remember that these guys are basically armored units that can stand as generals. I was actually thinking Clan would be a likely candidate, so I'm not surprised to see him beat a sample here. Attack power scales with dexterity. Okay, so we can just maybe make them a natural fit with somebody like Lucina. Hit rate increases with strength build in proximity targets. Oh, okay, so it's actually alternates between these two statistics, or rather swaps them around. That strength and dex are swapped, which means you can basically go really, really aggressive with high dex character. Now let fly, but to see the enemy use that, expends equipped shells to unleash a powerful artillery strike. Attack lens after one turn. Right, so you'd have to have them stay in place. Well, we have no standard story maps to try any of that on. But yeah, we want to save, of course, before we really do anything crazy with that. Also, we want to see what's going on with supports. Nothing. But I do want to see the support list on these characters. Interestingly enough, you get a couple of Dolores. You get Ivy and Alfred. Yeah, if we just sit them down for a couple of meals between skirmishes, I'm sure we'll eventually unlock some of this. Mavier, interestingly, does unlock a whole bunch of conversations. Let me see if I can find him. Our Mavier in our universe has no idea what's going on, but, you know, he has a couple of new friends anyway. He's got all of the hounds, of course, plus Rafal, but not Nell by the looks of it. Nell would naturally have something with Vale, because Vale is a very dead dragon in her own world. And she has relationships with the other lords as well. So, interesting network that we've made for ourselves here. So, these three plus Vale, yeah, they'd have some things to talk about, I'm sure. Yeah, it's the same with these. Yeah, and also... Oh, interesting enough, Madeline's not going to have a support with Rafal. So, we got a couple of different configurations here for each of these new characters. And the interesting thing, too, is they probably do all have the one-line bond conversations with all of the emblems, which is actually kind of a spectacular amount of additional dialogue if you think about it. But yeah, we basically have... Ooh, let's actually look at what they do. So we've got Fellstone and Fell Slaystone. I don't think we ever actually saw that in the main game itself. And yeah, both of these are kind of defense breakers. Except this one is anti-cavalry at the expense of some attack power. Then you can really kind of stack crit as well. Would be interesting to build Rafal with something like Killer Axe, in fact. And if you look at the stats, yeah, they're all about even. Rafal's not super, super weak the way he is in the main campaign. Oh, Magic Stone, that's interesting. So I wonder how usable the Dragon Stones are with other characters. I don't think my other dragons can actually use Dragon Stones, so these are the first actual dragon characters that we've had in the game. But I wonder if these are at all tradable between each other. Magic attack using physical power. Yeah, they should be. And yeah, protective. Just a bit of synergy between them. Interestingly enough, no weapons on them currently. But they are pretty much the classes that we're used to. Except Melusine, I don't think we actually previously had access to Melusine as a class. Sage in general, of course, is pretty familiar to us. Magic Knight Horizon Evil Dragon. Yeah, this is already the promoted class, right? It must be. So, for example, yeah. And, yeah, Cannoneer is an advanced class. Melusine is an exclusive special class. Oh, I see. It's one of the classes that goes up to level 40. So, yeah, it's a single tier class that's at level 20. Which is why it's equivalent to the promoted classes here starting at level 1. We have more fellow children, of course. Mostly useful for dropping dragon veins everywhere. But, yeah, this is kind of interesting. And Cannoneer, yeah, so you would do the upgrades directly from this interface, but it would have the associated item cost in place of the second seals or master seals. What about the Enchanter? Oh, Enchanter does actually have a requirement of daggers, fists, which is interesting. I wonder who would be a good natural fit for this. Use Convoy and excels at ally support tactics. Yeah, so you can have them way out in the field, and it makes sense that they would have Convoy, because if you're consuming tons of items, you want to be able to dip into the main inventory to grab more. And then, other than that, yeah, so I wanted to talk about how I knew that Nil's name was actually Rafal. Not only because it was as obvious to me as it was to his sister, or his quasi-sister Nell. Wow, we've actually got tons of fragments, which is great. We'll keep that, sure. And we'll also just dip back out to the main world map, because I wanted to... Oh, item shop and armory, new stock. Let's take a look at that and let's see what's going on. And yeah. This way. Probably more of the weapons for the new classes, in fact. I don't know if we'd get dragon stones or whatnot, but wow, mage cannon is expensive. I guess you'd, for balance reasons, probably wouldn't want to have tons of mage cannons on the map, because you would just hit everything at gigantic range and cheese bosses on turn 1 or something, but that is very, very costly. That's a deep end game if you're grinding away at skirmishes just to get all your S supports up, or not S supports, but A supports up. And the satchel's no slouch either.
Do come again.
So yeah, that's not happening all that soon. This probably has some of the class weapons. Let's just take a look. Yeah. You've got pretty much the whole selection here. Much bigger selection than I remember in the main game, in fact. So you pretty much have your pick of special effects. Notice crit minus 80 of these. Because even if you try to forge your weapons in every which way, this game seriously discourages you from ever landing a critical hit whatsoever at long range, as you would expect. The hit rates are reasonable, at least. It's just that you can't crit anything, so... It would be interesting to see who we can build that on, then. And yeah, you basically get a free spell effect on any of this stuff. Well, too bad there's no additional main content to use this on. I guess at most we'd try it on skirmishes or the battle tower that I haven't even touched. Reduced hit for distant targets. Reduced hit for distant targets on all of these. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so some of them have type effectiveness. Some of them have spell effects, and the might on all these is generally pretty similar. Some of them have 6 or 3. These ones are more damage oriented. High power and are also comparatively weighty, so depending on the build stat of the unit that you're putting these on, I guess. Regardless, you can't do a double attack on any of these anyway, so you might as well burden a heavy character and be done with it. Interesting, what's the difference here? High powered. And why would it be called powerful magic? Like, I see that this one is heavier and it is lower hit, and I see no reason why it should. Maybe the idea is that this does magic damage and this does physical or something? I don't know. I can't actually tell what the difference is between these two. And this one ignores defense, which is great. But yeah, I'm actually not clear on that because I thought that this was all... Oh no, it's not all magic damage. We remember, in fact, from playing the campaign that... Yeah, because if it says magic cannonball, then it is magic damage. If it does not say magic cannonball, it is physical. And we remember that because we did see some of these in action from the enemy side. So these ones do physical. And this one would be physical magical, yeah, and that's why you would have that difference. And this would be the penetrating damage. Just like the dragons do. Okay, well, we have no real opportunity to play with that just yet.
Take care.
But maybe if we get back to this game for some additional grinding, which I don't know if we'll really do, but... Yeah, a couple of things I want to check. First of all, I want to see about whether this epilogue sequence was, brief as it was, separately accessible. There weren't actually any credits to this, obviously. And then I want to talk about why I knew Rafal was Rafal. But I mean, we're finished with the game at this point. Yeah, no, this is just a standard credits, I think. Let's go back outside. Back inside of the fellow Xenologue so I can demonstrate this. First of all, we've got skirmish maps opening up. Maybe. Okay, so when I was first in the Fel Xenologue here, we arrived at Bracelet Altar. So in any given map in the game, you can look at the online stats for who used which combinations, which sometimes I've looked at for fun off stream after the fact. Only for maps we've completed, where I've already committed to my own strategy, of course. And so, after one of my streams of some of the early chapters in Fel Xenologue, I actually did look at the deployment rankings for the early maps. And if you do that, even if you have not reached Chapter 6, it totally gives away that Nil's name is actually Rafal. So it's displaying as Rafal now, but it was already doing so before clearing Xenologue 1. And so I think that was probably just a bit of an oversight on the part of the game. But I don't know how it handles concealing information in the main game or anything when it comes to this interface. Yeah. A lot of combinations here. Kind of wonder how people did with the... Actually, I kind of wonder how people did with the Desert Stronghold in terms of what was a popular choice for Nell in particular. Because... yeah, it seems like a lot of people went Tiki. I went Camilla, and I was pretty happy with my strategy because we didn't even wind up having to use very many elixirs to keep her alive. It's kind of understandable that most people would try to go pretty defensive with her. And then, by the time you get to the Fallen Somnial, what do you have? Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of these characters are required anyway, so the deployment rankings, the top lines don't really make too much of a difference. A lot of people running Alir alone probably just to focus on the Engage Plus, I would guess. Because that's what we did for much of the late maps in the main campaign. But yeah, very interesting that these are way off of what I did. Anyway, we are finished. This is it. I am done with Fire Emblem Engage. At least we're certainly done streaming it after having put in a preposterous amount of time. I thought that the DLC expansion content was extremely substantial. This is the best DLC package that we've received for a Fire Emblem game yet, I think, after having the pricing not really settle in back in the DS era, 3DS era rather, and then Sinner Shadows, of course, was very good back in Three Houses. Fell Xenologue here, you know, you had a little bit of messiness in the interface, I think, with the inventory resets and the amount of setup time and the somewhat dubious connectivity to everything else when it comes to what you can actually bring over and what is just sort of scaled and constrained for you, but I thought the maps were just fantastic. Yeah, 6 really quite varied and interesting Divine Paralogs maps, 6 pretty excellent Fell Xenologue maps, especially numbers 5 and 6. They took me a while. I think this one took me, combined between this stream and the last one, you know, upwards of 7 hours just to get through the final map, but we did it very cleanly. 1 reset, no deaths. A very tense moment in the middle with the double rescue, getting us out of the central island, but that was really the only wrinkle, and we managed to solve it and get out alive. Of course, this is just on hard. The real game, I suppose, is on maddening. We're not going to see it on stream. But we are, at long last, after starting this in January of this year, on a bit of a whim, finished with Fire Emblem Engage as far as the streaming content goes. I may dip back in to play with some supports. I may back into this to do the Battle Tower, but realistically, I am quite glad to put this aside just in time for Tears of the Kingdom in a week and a half, which will be our next major feature alongside our regular, if steadily declining, allocation of Mario Maker. With Fire Emblem out of the way, though, we've got a lot more time for that coming. And we'll just give the map a final look here in the inverted world that is falling into ruin over the next 1,000 years. Crumbling into bits until it just gets absorbed into my party. And that is it, so thanks so much for watching. And Until we meet again with a completely different game. This is going to be it for Fire Emblem. I wish you all the best in whatever lies ahead for you in the coming days or weeks or months or whatever time scale of your choosing. We'll meet again for more Mario Maker, and soon enough, Tears of the Kingdom. Above all, fare thee well.